Hi guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are at in the world, whatever time of day it is. Thank you for joining us. We are closing the first week of the beginner flexibility immersion. And if you've been traveling with us so far, you know that we have been really working intensely into the fascia. And you're probably very much feeling it at this point. And so what I want to do is slow down and put us into more of a position where we can allow blood flow to get back into the spaces that we've been working. We're not going to be intense with this. We're not going to be pushing through this. This is not meant for tearing up. This is meant for restoration. So whereas before we were creating little micro tears, we were breaking up adhesions, this is going to be more restorative. We are still going to be stretching through the lines of fascia, more plastically though, less elastic. So where before we were looking for that rebound effect, now we are just looking for this plastic, like long lasting effect. So it's plastic is changing a pattern over time in the brain. Elastic is that quality of the bouncing. And so today we're going to be working with that, the holds. We're restricting blood flow so that when we move, blood flow will rush back in. So it is going to be very much slower than the first two classes that you've experienced, but we're still going to be working through those same two lines of fascia that we experienced this week. So as we're going, you can always have a block handy. So have your block ready near you, as always, just in case. That's just a given, like have it near. As you can see, mine are generally right there next to me. And then have some pillows or a bolster. The reason I don't have a bolster, but I'm showing you that you do not have to have a bolster to get the job done. You don't have to have a bolster to do this type of yoga. You can stack pillows on top of each other. As long as you know the intention, you can stack things to make it work. Like a stability ball, like a yoga ball, is really good for working into the lateral line of your body. It's so good. So you can always, if you happen to have one, when we do a stretch when we're laying on our side, you can replace it with a ball, and I'll make sure I let you know what that is. And what stretch that is. And as we're going today, again, just thinking of creating one long fluid line of tension, and we think of tension as like this negative thing, like I'm so tense. No, when we're thinking of tension, like think that you're pulling a rubber band gently, not like, but just like trying to create a nice stable amount of tension through the whole rubber band. So you're creating this gentle pull through the whole line. And with fascia, when we're going through here, we're trying to create this long line through the entire fascial plane. But here's the thing, lines will cross over, so you'll feel it in other areas, but we're working into the lines that we've already practiced. As you're sitting here today, can you take your mind into your body and really allow it to, like we did on Wednesday, can you really hone in, but instead of honing in on one line of tension, can you disperse it through the whole area, through the whole line of your body? And as you're going through this, can you notice where you're overdoing it, where you're over pushing it, where you're probably going too hard? If you can't stay in it for the longer holds, because these will be longer, then you're probably pushing it too hard. I just want you to bump up against that little barrier of like, hey, there is a stretch, there is a tension here. Not, let's go hard, CrossFit style, fascial stretching. That doesn't work. Fascial stretching doesn't play games like that. It does not work well with intensity. So if you ever get into a space where you feel like you're binding up, where you feel like you're getting more tense rather than less tense, it means you've gone too deep. And to be able to recognize that, you really have to pay attention to your body. You really have to listen and say, am I going too hard? Like, you really have to feel into that muscle, into that space, into that line, and say, am I overdoing it? Like, is this feeling more bound up, or do I feel like I can find a release? And so that's why I would much, much, much rather you go less and just bump up against that barrier than go more and go too much and end up injuring yourself. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and begin. We're going to start in child's pose with our knees close together, arms out in front. Okay, and so if you haven't got your pillows yet, or whatever you're going to stack up underneath you, go ahead and do that before you get fully into child's pose. You can pause, meet me back here. Okay, so child's pose with your arms out in front, reaching your arms really, really, really far in front of you and trying to lift your armpits away from the mat. And then just reach. And then try to reach your hips back towards your heels. And notice the stretch through your sides of your body, through your ribs, through your arms. It might really be prominent because of how much we've already done through this. So again, you are not pushing here. This is not a exercise. This is a restoration. It's a restorative practice. Coming into your breath. Restorative doesn't mean just going to sleep, by the way. It just means you're allowing your body to move in a restorative way. So it's still very, very intentional. You're still trying to reach through your hands, reach through your arms, reach through your hips towards the back wall. Good. Now go ahead and walk your hands over to the right. Excuse me, Chloe. Watch out. Walk your hands over as far as you can to the right. And then take your left hand and try to place it on top of your right hand. Keep stretching and reaching through your left hand. Really reach. And then keep your left hip grounded. Try to keep it reaching behind you, reaching back towards the back of the mat and down. So you should feel that stretch from the tips of your fingers or side of your hand all the way. And it's not a shooting, it's just a tension. Just like you're pulling a rubber band. And then breathe into that tension. Try to send your breath there to stretch it even more or to challenge that line of tension. Walk your hands back over to the center and then take your hands, walk them over to the left and place your right hand on top of your left hand, trying to reach through like you're making this big arc through the side of your body. And then keep your hips grounded on the right and reaching back. Keep utilizing your breath in those spaces. That will keep your mind there. Go ahead and walk your hands back to center. Give yourself one more moment in regular child's pose. Reaching nice and long. Good. Go ahead and come forward to all fours and gently just walk your knees back so that you can come to lie on your belly. My Chloe, you're going to have to move, sweetie. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So you're laying on your tummy. You can take your arms into a T first. I'm trying not to smush the microphone. But you'll shift, like you walk your left hand over so that you can shift your weight into your right hip and your right shoulder. And then you just take your left leg and bring it over. You can try to set it on the ground if you can, or you can let it hang. And then just try to reach. You'll try to keep your chin on the mat. Take your left hand and reach it up over your head and try to reach through your left foot towards the back of the mat and reach through the crown of your head, reach through the tips of your fingers, try to stretch your armpit up towards the front wall or the front of the mat, and see if you can find that line of stretch through the whole side of your body. You kind of have to make yourself just a little bit comfortable with that. Try to allow your left hip to drop. So you're stretching and pulling through all of these spaces, crown of your head, stretching your armpit towards the top of the mat. Fingers are reaching, and then your foot's reaching down. But also, can you try to relax through that left hip, like let it drop, and you'll feel it stretching right at that hip joint, right there, that nice line. So we are getting a little bit into the more rotational lines or the spiral lines in the body as well here, but not extreme. So just think about somebody like almost stretching your armpit forward and your hip down so that you get that good stretch. If this is too much, you can always get up and place something under your foot. But just try to reach as much as you can. And then breathe. We'll be here for a minute. So just take your time here. Again, if I said we're going to be here for a minute and it caused you physical pain, it was like, oh no, then just back out just a little bit. Place something under your hand and under your foot. And allow yourself the opportunity to just experience this. It does make the stretch more intense if your chin is on the ground, so if you have a little rotation in your neck. But if you can't get that, just lay your head on its side. Now, before we come out of this, I want you to know that we've restricted blood flow to this whole lateral side of our body. What I want you to do is move very slowly to come out of it. So slowly roll your weight back to center. Maybe relax your arm a little bit. Let your hips fall back to center. And then just gently allow yourself to come back. Maybe lay your hands under your forehead. Okay. You need to come out. Weird.
One.
I need you guys to shush. Lizardy, you are being just as loud as Chloe is. Chloe, come on. Go over here. Please. Go. Go in there. Stop chewing on that in here. Go. And Lizardy, stop scratching. Chloe, first you gotta stay here. No, go over there. Lay down. Okay, now go. 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 Okay, moving to the next side. You can take your arms out in the T shape to begin. Walk your right hand towards your torso so you can help yourself roll onto that left side of your body. Okay, take your right leg and allow it to just fall over to the side so that you have this like drop of your hip. Okay, you want that stretch. That's where that stretch of that along that lateral line comes for your leg. If it's propped up, you won't get as much, but if you can't withstand that and hold that and you still feel the stretch when you have your leg propped up, then by all means prop your leg up, okay? Remember, meet your body where it's at. Don't force it to be somewhere it's not. Okay, so you're laying on your side and you reach your right hand towards the sky, or not towards the sky, towards the front wall, front of the mat. So reach your arm, reach your armpit towards the front of the mat now. And then go to your hip joint. Can you reach it down? And then reach through your foot towards the back of the mat. Your head, you can be laying your head on its side, or you can take your chin and place it on the mat. Mine isn't going to do that on this side, so. And then just take your breath into that space. You can also bend the bottom knee if you need to, not the top leg. You want to keep that line of fascia strong and connected. That's why we're so straight through that side of the body. Remember, this is restorative, so don't push too hard. Thinking of connecting into those spaces. Continually reaching through your arm, through your armpit up towards the front. So you can create that superior or that upward pull, and then reaching from the hip to the knee to the ankle down. So you create that downward pull. Nice and slowly, you can move your right arm towards your body. Roll your hips back to center. Coming up. We'll come up into Sphinx pose. We'll get a little bit of that front line of the body. Okay. Sphinx pose is your forearms are on the ground, elbows under your shoulder. Your feet are reaching behind you. Your feet are reaching behind you. Your knees are reaching behind you. Then go to that place in your hips and try to reach them down towards the bottom. Okay? And then the way that you're going to help pull your body towards the front is your arms that are flat on the ground, your forearms. Can you take them and try to drag them towards the back of the mat? And you can pull the sides of your waist forward. Your heart reaches, like your lower ribs are reaching forward, and then your heart comes up. So now you have this long line of stretch through the front side of your body. Maybe you feel it from the tips of your toes all the way to your neck or your collarbones. Now remember, the neck does have an area of this frontal plane, so you can keep your jaw closed. And if this is available to you, you can just gently start to look up. Maybe this is as far as you get looking straight ahead, or maybe you can keep your chest reaching forward, arms expanding open, and drop your head. Keep your jaw closed. As you know, to come out of that neck, stay where you are. To come out of your neck being back that far, if you went back that far, kind of like shrug your shoulders towards your ears, allowing your chest to drop, and that will allow your head to slowly fall forward so that you're not like whiplashing yourself, basically. Coming back to center, this neutral position, okay? We'll go ahead and roll over onto your back, lie on your back. take your feet and move them over to the left side of your mat. So both of them are over to the left. And take your right foot and cross it over the left foot. And then take your arms up over your head. And then try to move your shoulders over to the left. So you're in this like crescent moon shape. So you'll wrap your left hand around your right wrist and give it a little traction. So you have a little tug. Try to relax that shoulder, the right shoulder, so don't pull so much that you're jerking that shoulder off of the earth. Try to reach up through your armpit. Eyes nice and closed. Take your mind into your body. Do you allow yourself to have this time of restoration? Restoration gives us the ability to be flexible, the ability to be adaptable. If we are constantly in this push, breakdown stage or actions, our body is going to be more rigid because it has to be. Our thoughts are going to be more rigid because they have to be. It is a protective mechanism. Rigidity in the body is protective. And so if you don't give yourself the opportunity to come into these places of restoration, of rest, then you must have rigidity to keep you safe. And as you find more space, you can continue to find that lift, that reach up and over of your armpit. Your lower ribs can reach up and over. Then your hips can reach down into the corner, reaching down all the way through your foot. And that increases that line, that tensegrity within that line. Good. Go ahead and allow yourself to slowly release your arm, release your legs, walking your legs over to the other side. First, before you get all the way over there, find yourself in neutral. Let that blood flow come back. Then nice and slow, scoot your hips to the left, Move your feet over to the right. Cross your left ankle over your right ankle. Then reach your arms up over your head and reach your shoulders. Bring them over to the right. Reach your arms up and over to the right like a big crescent moon. Armpit is reaching up towards the top of the mat and then over. Lower ribs reach up and over. Then your hip is reaching down and to the right corner of the mat all the way through your foot. And as you're allowing your breath to connect through this entire side of your body, notice how you get more connected to that entire side. You become more aware of it. And as you become more aware of it, you might notice that you are able to open up more. Good. Nice and slow. You can begin to come back to center. Allow the blood flow to come back to that side of your body. So reconnect, feel your breath. Good. Slowly make your way to your side. Doesn't matter if it's your left or your right. Just make your way to your side and allow yourself to walk back up to seated position. Sorry, I apologize for that cough. Okay, we are now going to allow ourselves to, now we haven't really opened up through our hips a lot. So our hips are still, they might still be a little snug, but they also might be really open just from all of the front line work that we did and the side body work that we did. We broke up a lot the other day. Now, you might feel soreness. So just, again, recognize, don't overdo it, don't push too hard. So this is a good time where you can have your blocks handy. Okay? So take your right foot, no fancy way of getting into it, and move it towards the top of your mat. Leave your left knee back and down on the mat. Now, usually we start with our left hand going out to the left if you've ever worked with me. But today we're going to take our right hand and place it on our blocks. Put your blocks at like hip level. They can be on the block. And then what I want you to do is start to pull. So your hip is reaching towards the ground. Then your lower rib cage is going to reach up towards the sky and then over. Armpit reaches up towards the sky and then over. And you'll feel that stretch through the entire side of your body. But then go ahead and try to open your chest up even more. And that'll start getting into the front. We won't be here too long, but just experience this. Good, and release. Now you can take your left hand over to the left. Take your right hand behind your head and then try to spin your heart open. So instead of taking your right hand behind your head right now, can you take it to your left rib cage, your lower left rib cage? Can you grab your hand? I'll try to show you through the front. So I'm like this. Take your hand and then try to pull your rib cage like out from under you, like you're pulling it around towards the front. So you see how my chest is opening up when I do that, right? And if that's really hard, you can also always take those blocks again, place them under your hand, and then still just try to open your chest up. Then create some expansion across that front line of your shoulder, and then pull your belly button forward. You can almost take the skin even and pull it. Then reach your chest forward, arm goes behind your head. Just stretching into that front line a little bit more. We won't be here for too long, just experience this. Now this one does get into the deep line of fascia as well, which we haven't accessed yet, but you're probably experiencing it like in your groin area or the front of your hip. That is more of the deep fascial line, but this opening up through the chest, this curve and this arch of your back, that's the front. That's that front line that we worked on Monday. Go ahead and release. Nice and slow, walk your hands back to center. Shift your hips back, because that left hip got a lot of awakening there, okay? And then you'll just switch sides. Take your left leg up, your left foot up to the front. Place your blocks by your left hip, not directly by it, but just outside of it, outside of the mat, so that you have a place to prop your hand up on. Place your hand and then take your hip, reach it towards the earth. Your lower rib cage, reach them up, up, up. So this is that lateral line again. And then I have a wall here, but you really want to think about reaching your hand up and over. That wall kind of works. It helps me push into that right hip a little bit more. So I get a stretch through this line a little better. And then reach your armpit up and over. And keep breathing. Good, nice and slow. Work your way out of it, coming back to center. Take your right hand way out to the right, about hip level. If you need your blocks, stack them there. Left hand goes to your lower ribs on the right side. Pull them out to the front. Pull them out from under you. Like you're trying to twist your lower ribs up towards the ceiling. And then you reach your belly button forward, kind of lean into your hips. Belly button reaches forward, heart reaches forward, and try to expand to the front side of your body. Breathe. Good. And release down. Coming back to center, you can take your left foot back to the left. Sitting back. Move your blocks out of the way. And then you can take your pillows, or if you have an exercise ball or a yoga ball, stability ball, whatever you want to call those things, you can grab them. Or if you have pillows, I just happen to have two really long pillows, so that's why I brought them in here. But you don't necessarily need long pillows for this. You just need to, I like to stack them because it helps me get higher. Okay, then you'll come onto your side. Try to allow your lower hip to hang off. So you see how I'm in that same arched position. Sorry, making sure I'm not hitting the microphone. So you see how I'm in that same sort of arched position. Your lower hip needs to be on the pillow just a little bit. I beg your pardon for saying that. And then you'll reach your right arm up and over. Armpit reaches up and over. Right leg reaches down. Right hip reaches down. So you're in more of this restorative crescent pose. Your head can be resting on your left arm, or you can place some blocks or more pillows under your head. If you are more mobile, then the stability ball you will feel more if you're stacked up higher. Just so you know. Try to relax your neck. Your face, your jaw. You can always stack pillows up higher. You can always put blocks under your hips. Just giving you some more examples. You can always pause the video to get yourself in different positions, trying it out. What works for me might not work for you, and vice versa. Try to keep your ribs from twisting here. So you don't want to keep yourself twisted. That's getting into a different line. You want to, if you feel like you're twisting, like your front hip is going, or your hip is going forward, just bring your leg back to straight and look down. See, does it look like your belly button is kind of twisting? If so, then tuck your ribs back under, and there you go. And one thing that's really nice with this, if you have a partner, you can have them grab your hip and grab underneath your armpit and then just push them in opposite directions. So pushing your hip down, your armpit towards your, like gently, like a, not pushing down, but like pulling apart gently, okay? Slowly make your way out of this. Remember, you've been decreasing blood flow in that space. So just give yourself the opportunity to go slow, to move slow. And then switch sides, come to laying on your right side. Right hip goes down. Left arm goes up and over. Move your right foot out from under your left foot. You want it to kind of feel like it's lower than your hips. Remember, make sure you're not twisted. Reminder that if your mind starts to wander, your breath can always bring it back. I like to think about my breath going to the places of tension and stretching and expanding those spaces. It's a great way of keeping your mind and your body. Good. Go ahead and release yourself out of this. Nice and slow. Sorry if I bumped the mic. Nice and slow, coming out of it. You can move your pillows. Now you will have your blocks handy. We're going to be moving into more of our final resting pose. We'll start with this, but then we will actually go through Shavasana this time. So we will move through this heart opening pose. So you will need some blocks. If you don't have one, then just stack some pillows up and you can lay on top of it. So you'll place one block. I like it this long way on the second height. So it goes first height, second height, third height, just so you know, if I ever say that and it confuses you. So I have it on the second height, and then you can start with the other one at the second height as well, but you might not need it that high. Just know that it's an option for you. Now, if you don't have blocks, just get 2 pillows, regular size pillows, and stack them up, or your bolster, if you happen to have a bolster, or like a firm couch cushion or something that's kind of like the shape of a bolster, or these longer pillows. And then you'll take where your bra line is, or the base of your shoulder blades, and you kind of have to play with it a little bit, and you place it at the bottom of the block. Okay? And then you'll lay yourself across it. Just paying attention. Sometimes foam blocks are better than these cork blocks for this. And then you'll place the second block under your head. And then your arms can lay out to the side. This is really good that if you're like cold, cover yourself up with a blanket. It's great. Just allow yourself some snuggles in this restful posture. If the block is too much, if it's too high for you, then just get some pillows. If the block under your head is too high, you can drop it low or just remove it completely. It does take a little playing, so just play with it so you can get comfortable enough to rest. So this is opening up through the front side of our body, through our arms, those deep arm lines. Another option for you is you can always interlace your hands around your wrists or elbows or just fingers, and then you can take your hands up above your head. That will get into those deeper arm lines. Try to send your breath through your chest. You don't ever want to be pushing through pain. Ever, ever, ever. But especially in a restorative class. You can remain here, or you can roll off of this. There's no really easy way to do this, but you do want to do it nice and slow. You can roll off of that. And then you can move the block to underneath your sacrum or your pelvis. You could put one block under there, or you could put two, whatever's available to your body. 2 is very, very high. I will say that. I just have a lot of flexibility, so I could tend to do that. You can keep your legs out straight. You can place your feet together. It's going to be stretching into your hips. So deeper lines than the front line and the lateral lines, but it's okay. This just feels really yummy. Just play with it on your sacrum. You don't want it to be creating any back pain, so just pay attention. But we really open up through the heart, just opening up through this lower chakra point. You can remain there with your hips propped up or your heart propped up. Either way, just if you're going to come out of it, just nice and slow. You can find your way into Shavasana, legs falling, whether you're still in your position or you want to just take full Shavasana. The true restorative pose, but also such an integration pose after the restorative pose, or the restorative class. Taking your time, notice yourself breathing. You could take yourself back in your body, wiggle your fingers and your toes. Reach your arms up over your head if you choose for a good morning stretch. And then roll yourself to the right or to the left. And walk yourself up nice and slow into a seated position. Thank you guys for taking that moment of restoration, that moment where you just really focused in on certain aspects of your body and you allowed yourself to find that tension throughout certain lines, and being slow and gentle with yourself, not expecting yourself to go hardcore in this class, but just allowing yourself to restore. So thank you and namaste.